Hey guys, Ogalbina here, bringing you guys our APA Legacy, draft PRs, coaching PRs. I don't know how to exactly title it, but I'm joined by John Jr. Unfortunately, you want to say hi?
No, I actually, now that you said unfortunately, not really, actually.
It's too early.
Dude,
but
why is it 1 p.m.?
It's 9:58 in the morning, and
You're in a big time zone.
Coffee. Okay, but yeah, we're basically just going to be going over teams with our very limited knowledge of the people we know and the people we don't know, and saying I think they're good, I don't know if they're good, etc., stuff like that, and then we'll rank the teams at the end with a completely objective and 100% true tier list.
100% factual. I feel like we should get a little bit of like some prior knowledge though. Like, I feel like Odin and I know most people in this because we've been around APA for 2 years, 3 years, something like that.
Mm-hmm.
So we have pretty basic knowledge of most people here. We were both Evo coaches this last season, so I feel like pretty qualified to do this.
Yeah, at least much more so than something like Clash or something like that, where I don't know a lot of people being this is APA only. And
exactly. That'd probably be important to say. This is only APA coaches. Hello.
Yeah. So like we're definitely super hands-on because we are, we have been around a while, so we know a lot of these guys and how they've performed in the past at least. Not saying how good they'll do for sure in this tournament, but we have that background knowledge at least for most of these guys going in. But yeah, do you want to jump into the first team?
Sure, let's do it. So are we just gonna go?
We'll go left to right. We'll go Sarah, Tiro, obviously, and then go through the team. Then just go Panda, Odin, and then at the end we'll objectively rank them right over here.
Objectively,
with the great tier list that Darkrai gave us. Okay, so T-Bro's captained by Sarah and Tiro. It's a strong captain core in the sense that they've pretty much essentially like locked down 2 solid Little Cup players, like right off rip. 2 people that can play Little Cup every week, and I think that's really nice in a team tour setting like this. Because, like, while there is good LC guys in this tour, especially because it's an APA event and we have a lot of Little Cup stuff, not having to spend 800 million on Little Cup is cool. So I think that's obviously super, super solid.
Yeah, absolutely. I agree. And the first pick, Panther, really complements that heavily, actually. He's another really good kind of flex player. He can play kind of any of the tiers, but he is very, very good at Little Cup, and he provides that really, really good build support that I think any team, is really, really satisfied to get. And he went for 25k, which I feel like it's a little bit of an underpay. I feel like Panther should have probably went for a little bit more because he's really active in servers and stuff like that. But obviously, he's the commissioner of the APA, one of my best friends, so maybe I'm slightly biased, but
yeah,
whatever.
And yeah, I think that's the big thing is that Panther can play everywhere. He's probably not going to play Little Cup at all in this, and he's really good in Oras. I know he played Oras in UCA, and he did really, really well there in the weeks that he played. He either went 3-1 or 4-1 or something like that. Played pretty dominantly as well. So that's obviously a good pickup for that tier, and then he's also really good at Swish and LC. I think he's in the top 5 minimum of LC players like ever. So that's obviously really, really good support and an ability to get. Next person, I think when I watched Darkrai's video, it said NOE Metagross or at No E Metagross, something like that. But 11k, I'll be honest, I don't really know them very often.
Me either. I've never
after flexing my knowledge on APA leagues, I don't think I really know them. The name sounds super familiar, and I feel like I saw them in like some kind of team tour, maybe like UCA. But if it's a familiar name, they're going for a decent round. I don't think that's too big of a deal. But yeah. Next is our boy. It's whatever Ant. Going for 12k. You wanna hype up Ant? He really wanted to be hyped up.
I'm very upset. We really wanted Ant on our team. Obviously, for those of you that don't know, we have a group of friends called the Goons, and Ant is a very prominent member of the Goons. And Ant was definitely on our plan to get. He has very, very phenomenal build support. He's very good in the standard tier specifically, and he's learning Little Cup on the side, so that would have been awesome. But the primary place where Ant shines is his build support. He builds a lot of mocks. He will constantly help you with building, constantly give ideas, bounce ideas back and forth, and he's always available. And I think for 12k, that is invaluable. 12k is what we were going to spend on him, but as soon as he got put up to bid, the minimum bid was 10k, and that was very sad for us.
I think another big thing to notice too is Ant got super, super snubbed and didn't even get drafted in Bob last season, which was nuts. I think Ant's an Ascension level guy. He played in Odyssey last season, but I think he's 100% an Ascension level guy, without question. And the fact that he did kind of get snubbed out of that team tour experience last time, I know he's like 150% going to sweat here because he hasn't got that experience yet, and I know he wants to. and this could also be a really good showing for him to get picked up in Bob, or maybe even as a mid in Clash or something like that, because of the amount he sweats and things like that. So I think that's obviously really, really clean. But yeah, next up, Mr. Bloopy, 4K. Another guy I don't really know. I see his name fly around a lot. I think he was actually picked up in Clash 1, maybe? I'm pretty sure. But again, I don't really know him. But 4K, you can't really go wrong with 4K as long as you have someone who's active and who's about it. And I know something that the T-Bros always do is they, or at least they did during this. I think they're probably the only team to really like hold tryouts and like things like that for this. So I'm assuming if they're picking up a guy for 4K, who's probably active in their team server and talking stuff like that. And in a tour like this, especially, that's a little bit, more chill than something like Clash or, like a DPL, TDT type thing. 4K activity is completely fine, in my opinion, because it's not like there's such a big gap between players at this point in this format, at least. Next up, Seansters. This is an interesting one. I don't know how much I feel like. I think Sean is an amazing player. Sean's a player I have beaten one time. He's demolished me every other time. He's one of the best stall players in draft, in my opinion. Like, probably the best, or at least close to it. Again, my community reach doesn't go as far as a lot of guys, but he's very, very good with fat builds. He's a very solid player, a very creative builder as well. The only issue is he's not the most active dude in the world. He's kind of ghost. He'll show up for his games and always get his stuff done, but he's not the guy in your team server that's going to be throwing out mocks, and he's not the guy who's going to be bouncing ideas, and he's not going to have 500 messages an hour or something like that, or like thousands of messages and things like that in your server, which is a downside to Team Tour. You want activity, but I think he's a guy you can just slot and say win your game in standard or in ORAS, because I am pretty sure you can play ORAS too, and you'll be good from there. So I think that's obviously good in itself. I heard a joke flying around that they paid 1K for like per message he's gonna send or something like that, which is pretty funny. But I think he's a really good player, regardless.
He's actually he was in Evo this season. He took over for somebody, I don't remember who, but he is easily like one of my top 5 people that I want to play. He's a very, very good player. I'm very interested to see how he does in Emon though, because especially like in a team tour setting, because obviously you and I both know that he plays a lot bulkier, a lot more stally than a lot of other players. So I'm interested if they'll make one team specifically for him and like play him every single week, or how that'll work.
Yeah, and it's a little bit harder to get like a cohesive, like really bulky build in 8-mon too, because you can't cover as many holes in your defense. I think more offensive builds are a little bit better in 8-mon, but regardless, I know he can play offense too. He's not like bad at playing with offensive builds. It just his strength lies with playing that super fat balanced type semi-stall type builds are like where he thrives in draft, which is not something most people do, which is obviously pretty crazy. Acor, another name I know, and I don't know if they played in Little Cup. They might have. They might have played in Little Cup. I don't know for sure. They might be a Little Cup guy. Again, 5K, having that support, especially because Panthers probably not playing, looking at the depth of this team, Panthers probably not playing Little Cup on this team. As good as he is, I don't think they can slot him there, at least very often. So getting another guy for Little Cup, potentially, and again, I could be completely wrong, he could just not be a Little Cup guy at all. I hope he is, because if that's not the case, then they have Sarah Tiro to play Little Cup every single week. And then Bagel John is LC backup. But
I'm pretty sure Acor is a little guy.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure he is.
Jay and I were looking at getting him, actually. It was between him and Jesse, the Jesse dude that we got. And I heard from a lot of people that 5K for him was like ridiculous. He's supposed to be like insanely good, or very, very good. I don't know about insanely good, but
nice.
Like a 10K player or something is what I read.
Oh, nice. Yeah, no, that's good, because I think getting a third Little Cup player is really important for them, because Sarah might not be able to play every week, Tiro might not be able to play every week, and Panther is by far your best player. In my opinion, at least, I think Panther's, one of the best players in the pool in general. So you don't want to pigeon him into Little Cup if you don't have to, when you already have solid Little Cup starters and things like that, and you want to, slot him in standard, or more importantly, slot him in ORAS. Because after watching Sky and Dark Rise PRs, I'm totally going to steal their ideas and stuff like that, I did notice they do kind of lack a really good ORAS presence. They don't have my ORAS player, unfortunately, besides Panther. Yeah, but you got 2 slots every week now since we increased it. So you gotta play someone else who's not maybe necessarily an ORAS main. Like, I think Ant could probably drop down and play some ORAS.
Ant could definitely.
Yeah, but it's not his like forte. Yeah, it's not his forte or his cup of tea. He's not like, yes, I'm an Orash player, you know. Panther, he's old, so he's definitely an Orash player. But yeah, so I think getting the 5K pickup for Little Cup is actually really clean, especially if they can perform well. Again, I don't have too much background knowledge of how good they are, but you said you heard some good things about them. And then lastly is Bagel John. This is an interesting one because I always hear everybody talk about how very, very active Bagel John is. And if he is, that's awesome. 6.5K, and that's obviously them just throwing the last of their budget at him because they had 6.5 left. At that point, they couldn't draft anyone else. So that's obviously, not a bad thing for activity. The only thing is, I always hear activity, but at least in the leagues I've been with him, I haven't ever seen Bagel John finish a league. Yeah. I haven't ever seen him finish a league, besides ones that he's taken over in like, week 6, 7 or something like that, that I've been in. He hasn't finished, but if he is, active, and team tours are definitely a lot different than leagues, as a whole. So I think give them activity.
Week in, week out, what I mean?
Yeah.
So, and he's a pretty good standard player too. It's not like he's not competent.
And I heard he's improved a lot over like the last year or so. Like he's gotten a lot better at the game, opposed to where he was prior. So that's obviously good. And I think if they get some good consistent activity out of him, because I know sometimes at some points he's super active, but then sometimes it'll be like stuff came up and it'll be gone. So if they can get that consistent activity out of him, that'll be really clutch for them.
Yeah, that'll be pretty good for 6'5".
Yeah. And then Sai at the end of the draft. Because the main kind of point of this tour in general is to give that team tour experience to APA guys who haven't necessarily had that opportunity in the past, like in Clash or Bob or DPL, TDT, all the 800 million, team tours out there and things like that. The guys who may be newer to the game, maybe don't have that same, reach to that side of the community and stuff like that and want to get that team tour experience. That's what this is for. So what we did at the end, because there wasn't, a crazy amount of leftover signups, is at the end of the draft, people who weren't drafted were given the opportunity to pick a team that they want to go on there, put in a random order, and they could say, I want to be on this team, I want to be on this team. So Sai is the player who picked T-Bros. Again, I don't know them very well, but you're going in with no expectations, so there's literally no downside to that pickup, obviously, because they didn't spend any money and they could go in, be an absolute sleeper pick and kill it. So that's obviously really solid. But yeah, let's jump on to Quag game with the strongest captain core, Panda and Odin.
I think they're definitely. I was thinking about it. I think they're definitely one of the stronger captain cores. I think they're probably the third best in my personal opinion. We'll talk about the other ones when we get there, but I definitely think that, like, Panda and Odin, they're very good, obviously. I don't know a whole lot about Odin. I saw how he played in he took over for PGP, right? That was him?
No, he's been on PGP from the start. Beardy took over for a week. Yeah,
well, I watched him some in PGP. He's done really good there.
He beat Nunez. Yeah, he beat Nunez against Pichu, which was pretty nice.
And then Panda, Robbie boy. I like him. He's a good kid.
Yeah, and he's despite him being like kind of a meme with us, at least he's a funny guy. I love Panda. He's a funny guy, but he's gotten a lot better at the game too, from what I've heard.
Yeah, for sure.
He's an Odyssey champion. I think he did pretty good in Ascension too. And yeah, he's a pretty solid player, and I know he's very active. Odin, I don't know who's active. He's been pretty active in PGP actually, and he's been getting good mocks and stuff like that. So I think that's a pretty solid captain core. Odin also did really well in the LC tour. He came in third. He beat me in semis, or in the third placement match. So he knows Little Cup. He might have to play there, a good amount with 2 LC slots, looking at the team that they drafted, but I don't think that's a bad thing. I think he's a very solid LC player. Despite just like recently kind of learning the format, pulling up to the LCL tournament, which was, I believe, the biggest Little Cup tournament ever up to this point, with the amount of signups and the prize pool and stuff like that, and then just coming in third. Pretty damn impressive, honestly.
Yeah, that's pretty impressive, especially if you say you just learned the format.
Yeah, like I don't think he's played in any of our Little Cup leagues before that at all. I don't know if he played in any other leagues on the side or anything like that, but at least APAs, I don't think he played in any at that point. So that's super caught me off guard. I knew he was a good player in general, but it is tough to make that adjustment, at least initially, to LC. In my opinion, unless you're like,
trust me, I know.
Unless you're like Moran. I think Moran started playing LC and demolished immediately. I sucked for 2 or 3 seasons before I started getting decent at Little Cup. But their first player is going to be Plaz. Speaking of Little Cup guys, he's the guy who won the LCL tour, and he's a very, very good Little Cup player. I think given the right given the right drafts, Plaz can be very, very good and very dominant in the format. He obviously just knocked off Moran, which is a big upset in my opinion, in the LCL finals. He had a great showing in Clash 1. I think he did really good in TDT this season in LC. I don't know for sure, but I feel like I heard that somewhere that he did really good. He didn't have a great Clash 2 season. It was a bit mad, but I don't think he had the best support around him, so honestly, that makes sense. And he had to go up against me week 1, which is like really not fair.
Yeah,
but he's a really good little cup player, and going 31k for him, it might be a little expensive, but looking at the rest of their team, they kind of do need that little cup presence. They have Plasma's Odin, which I think is really cool. Well, Odin, I'm still kind of waiting to see if he's like really the real deal in LC, because like while that tournament placement was really impressive, it is just one tournament. So if he can kind of tap into what he did in LCL plus Plaz and LC, that's really good. And Plaz is basically a guaranteed W against a lot of coaches in LC, despite how stacked it is. He's a really good player, so I think 31k is fair.
Yeah, he went for the tied for the most in the entire tour, I do believe.
Yeah, him and Moran went for 31, which is understandable.
Very
I think maybe they could. I think maybe a little bit less would have been nicer, but
we totally upped him.
Yeah, Plaz. But I also know he knows how to play standard too. So like, while he might not be playing standard, he can at least offer that support and things like that if he is active enough. Which is cool. Next is Nunez.
Nunez is a player that I really, really respect as far as his building goes, and as far as like him in standard. I don't know anything about him in any other tiers besides standard, but as far as what I've seen from him in standard, I had one of my favorite games ever with him week 1 of PGP. It was a really back and forth game, really close. He had really good prep. He was in Evo, I do believe, right? He was in Evo.
Yeah, he was in Evo.
Yeah, he did good there. I watched his games. He really impressed me there as well. Just like. As a player overall, he's just a very competent player. He's really good at making plays when he needs to, but not overplaying. You know what I mean? Like Jason, for instance. He's really good at just kind of reading the field, I guess, is the best way to put it.
Sorry, I was drinking coffee. Yeah, no, for sure. And another thing that I think is really important with this team in particular, looking at the rest of the guys, is him and Plaz to like almost the same extent, a little bit less, are Team Tour vets. I know Nunez he's a DPL vet, so having that presence of a guy who like has been about it and like played one of the bigger team tours, I mean the biggest team tour, competition wise, and like had success in it. He was on Crit City, I think, with Panther. That team went to finals in season 2.
Yeah, he was on that team.
So like he's a guy who like understands what it takes to go into a team tour and like win and do well and stuff like that. And looking at the rest of the players, that might really help, because a lot of these guys, I don't really necessarily know them, so I don't know if they might have a little bit of team tour experience, but regardless, they don't have the experience that like Nunez has in DPL and Clash and stuff like that, and the experience that Plaz has in Clash, and Panda too. Panda also knows what sorry, what now?
I feel like 25k is pretty good for him.
Oh, I think that's fine. I think it's a 100% a fair price. And then another thing I want to touch on Panda again is he's a Clash champion, so he also knows what it takes to go into a winning team for them to have success going forward and stuff like that. He played on Kieran Black from the waist down, and actually did pretty well for them too. And that was a really, really, really dominant team tour team. Like, they were really good. I think from like week 1 on, we're like, oh, they're gonna win, and they won. So that's
Crusaders,
obviously,
right?
Huh?
Crusaders?
No. In Clash of Kings.
In Clash. Okay.
Yeah, Kieran Black from the waist down.
Oh yeah. Okay.
LOQP and Ray's team. Yeah, they were super dominant. Panda was on that team and performed pretty well. So I think he knows the kind of sweat you need for that kind of stuff. Next, Borrego. This guy, his name looks really familiar. I think he helps run things in BBL. I think that's where I know him from. I
saw him play Josh in BBL the other day.
Yeah, and then which means if he played Josh, that means he's in the highest division there, which is obviously pretty cool. I mean, there's no Ubers format here, but it's close enough to standard, so he obviously knows what he's doing in standard. I think I played him in the gym tour actually too. That might be the other place I know him. I think Jason did. I think he smashed Jason, which is really funny. The reasons you remember people. 6k, I think that's definitely serviceable, especially if they know him. He's not super active in this community. I know he's here, and he's obviously coached in the AP League because he's allowed to play, but I don't remember which one exactly. But I think 6k is completely fine, especially for, a pretty recognizable name like that. Tone, I think Tone is cool. I like 8k for him just because I think he's a pretty solid player. I think he's a good Little Cup guy too.
That's what I was gonna say. Yeah, I like him a lot for Little Cup on this team.
Especially if you don't want to play Odin there, because Odin's good at standard too. So I think that's really nice. The only issue is my kind of same like gripes with something like paying 21k for Shonsters or Bagel John. I know Tone is another guy. Well, at least in draft leagues. Again, my team tour experience is much less than my league experience. And the leagues I've been with him, I don't know how he's been this gen, but in Gen 7, he was kind of a serial genre. He kind of go ghost a little bit. So I think that it's always a little bit iffy going into a team tour. But if they know he's going to be active, and I know he did well in Bob Battle of the Bastards, like mini Clash. So I think he's a good little cup guy to have. So you don't have to play Odin in LC every week. You can always alternate him out in and out and stuff like that. Charlie, okay, I'll be honest. The next two names, Charlie and 3LG,
I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know them at all. Again, they probably played in a APA league. Again, they had to, so pretty low bids. So that's obviously not the biggest deal in the world. And then we have Almighty Jacob. I'm assuming that means he's an Almighty Goon. So 4K is a little bit of an overpay. He's one of those guys.
Yeah, for the fake goons. I'm honestly surprised he didn't go to
Shiesty.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, yeah. They actually did they draft
4K.
Yeah, did they draft? I don't think they drafted any.
No, I was looking.
Goons, right?
I know Photon signed up, but I can't find his name on yet.
Maybe he pulled out.
Maybe he might have actually.
So I'm like, yeah, no, I think you remember him pulling out because Hacker was talking about how he really wanted to draft him because that's just or something like that. But Almighty Goon, I mean, maybe that means you'll get, and I know Panda is one too, so that's obviously good team synergy there, and you might get some Almighty Goon build support because I don't think a lot of them are playing in this tour. So
yeah,
that's always good. Just remember who you're drafting and who their friends are because that's always kind of comes as a package deal in that sense. And then Sengoku, I think, is it? I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know who it is.
Their name looks familiar. I think they played in the LC tour, and I think they played one of the Goons in the LC tour. I'm pretty sure.
Probably Zombie. Right.
Yeah, but again, with these pickups, they're literally zero drawback unless you wanted someone particular and you're like, oh man, I wish I got them. I wish they picked me. It's literally zero drawback. You're getting a free player. And they could, really just pull up and sweat and give you 30 mocks a week and, be a great team presence and win a couple games for you. You can't go wrong with that. Next, we have Gentinomo, which I never wanted to say out loud.
This is such a bad captain core. Cavs, he's good. I like Cavs a
but
lot.
Hacker drags them down.
Hacker is trash, bro. Oh my gosh. Don't get me started on this guy.
Really drags them down.
Bro. But I cannot stand Hacker.
I'm sorry, Cavs.
I'm sorry you had to get paired with that, realistically. It's just unfortunate that you really have a captain pair of one.
I mean,
but on the real, Hacker is actually the newest goon. We love him. Good little guy. And he's really impressed me with how he's gotten better over time and standard specifically. I've never seen him play Little Cub, never seen him play Oras. So very curious to see how he does this tour for sure, because I feel like it's definitely gonna help him grow as a player even more. I feel like.
Yeah, and the responsibility. I think he's captain team tour before, but I think the responsibility of capping the team tour would be good for him too. A little squirt. All right. Next up, for their first pick, they picked up Cult, 23k. I think this is a fair price. Cult's a really good Little Cup.
Yeah.
Huh? Yeah, Cult's a really good Little Cup player, and they're a really good standard player. They were in Evo as well. So I think that's fair to pick up someone who can play in both. I think they're mostly going to be slotted in Little Cup looking at this team.
They have to be. They literally have to be.
No, because you have Cavs who's really good at Little Cup as well, which we didn't really talk about Cavs. Cavs is a good player. Didn't Cavs win Ascension?
I actually don't know.
I think Cavs won Ascension or did really good in Ascension or something like that. And they're a really good Little Cup player. A really good Little Cup player.
Ascension?
Did Owen win Ascension?
I thought so, because I thought he was going to be in Evo next season.
Oh, yeah, hold on. I don't have it on my new computer. This is so sad. So I know they at least did really good in Ascension. One of the two. And I know they were in talks to be both an Evo coach and an LC Evo coach right before, and they just missed out. So very good player, and being able to play Little Cup is good. And then they have Zombie, which we'll talk about in a minute, but he can definitely slot in LC. So you're actually not locking Cult in the LC as much as I thought. I think they'll play a lot of LC, but it's not like we need Cult to play LC or we have an automatic loss in that slot, kind of thing.
Yeah.
But I think that's definitely a fair pickup for 23k. Cult's a very good player. Big Daddy Dave.
Yes. This is the one I want to talk about so badly, dude. The entire freaking tour. Dave was one of the people that we wanted the most, but they nommed him really late, and we only had 18k budget or something, and he went for 15k, and I was like, well, darn, guess we're not getting him. But Dave is a player that I really like. People tell me that he's not active in a lot of servers, but he messages me like, I don't know, once a week, once every other week, something like that.
Now that's activity.
We would have really good conversations, and I really like him as a battler. He was in Evo this season, and he did well for what he was dealt. He had a lot of bad luck, and he went 4-6, I do believe, or
something like that. Yeah, it was 4-6, 3-7.
Something like that. He didn't play bad by any means. He got lucked out. He probably should have went 6-4, maybe 7-3 ish. Really good player.
Mm-hmm. And he's a good guy. I like Dave a lot.
Sorry, I thought somebody walked in my room. But yeah, I love Dave. I think for 15K, I think that's absolutely fair. I think it really just comes down to how active he's going to be, honestly.
Oh yeah, no, I think with good activity, I think especially when you take into, again, no shape when I say this, when you take into like the overall skill level of this tour opposed to other tours, I think he's definitely worth a 15K as long as he's there and active. Pikachu Zappy Zap, PZZ. This guy, I've heard his name a lot recently, actually. Like, I've heard his name a lot more recently, and I know he's killing it in PGP right now. I know he's doing very well in PGP. I think he's either undefeated. I think he might be undefeated, and I think he like smashed 6-0 someone week 1 or something like that. So 14K is definitely fair. I've heard a lot of good things about this person. Again, I don't know what 8-bit league they played in. It could have been... it might have even been Underground because they like got in at the end, or it could have been Ascension, Odyssey, something like that. But from what I've seen in PGP, very, very solid player. I think 14K is 100% a fair pickup. Snambi,
another person that we really wanted. Zombie's a very, very good Little Cup player, especially in this kind of tour. But he can also slot into Standard, and even whereas he can kind of play everything. But it'll probably mostly be Little Cup. Looking at this team, like we talked about earlier. You want to talk about his little cup stuff a little bit? I don't know, like all of his accolades and such.
Yeah, so Zombie isn't really known for his LC, probably because they think of like it gets drowned out in the 87 million other leagues he does, which is also something we should mention is the activity level of Zombie is going to be really clean for a team tour. He'll definitely be around. Don't worry, he'll definitely be around to help and give insight and build his own teams. Give mocks and stuff like that. I think it's obviously really solid. Is he playing on NCP for PGP right now?
Yeah.
How is he in that server? Is he pretty active?
Yeah, he's really active, very, very active.
Nice. I know he was in Season 1 when I was on PGP.
It's like the exact same thing, yeah.
Okay, yeah. Little Cup-wise, though, like I said, people kind of forget about his accolades. He's played in a good amount of APS Little Cup seasons. I think he's always made playoffs every single time. Hasn't won a final or anything like that, but he's performed very well. He's played in all of the LCL tournaments, and he's made brackets each time. This most recent one that just ended a couple weeks ago, I think he was either top 8 or top 4, and he ended up losing to Odin. Who ended up obviously going on. Yeah, it was top 8 because then Odin went and played Plaz in semis and then lost. So he made top 8 in the LCL Tour, which again is the biggest LC tournament there's been. Regardless of who he ended up getting matched up against and stuff like that, I think that's important. Impressive in its own right. He did have to kind of weed through and get that far into the tour. So obviously really, really solid there. I think Zombie is. Honestly, I think that's a completely fair pickup. I would want more on Zombie if I, absolutely had to, just because of his activity level, the versatility, and the ability to slot into LC without anybody really knowing it. I think they grabbed a good one there. I think Zombie's super slept on as a whole as a player, and he's really lucky, like everybody loves to say. He's incredibly lucky. So, you could even throw in another 3K there because of luck, and I wouldn't bat an eye. So very, very good. Herndon Chad, I think I said that right. Herndon Chad. This is another name I know. I think they did really well in Indigo one season, or they won Indigo. One of the two.
Yeah, you're right.
And I think Hacker knows them. Maybe that's why I know them. Well, I mean, obviously Hacker drafted.
I messaged this guy before. So I just went to look at the DMs, and it was from the gym challenge. So that's my knowledge on him.
Yeah, well, I do remember he did the gym challenge. I remember he beat me in the gym challenge, so that means he's obviously worth at least 15 more K. But he's if we're getting a really solid, regardless of the league, I think Sky said this in his too. I don't think we should discount any league win because it's a lower division or something like that. It still takes a lot to go in and win a league, despite the competition and stuff like that, and he was able to do so. And there are always some really good sleeper picks in Indigo that you have to get through. I think we can go through the freaking seasons and talk about sleepers. This season Crow is in Indigo, and that's obviously not someone who should really be in Indigo. I know Nunez and GCS have been in Indigo before and stuff like that, so it's not necessarily saying Indigo bad players you better win if you're good kind of thing. it's still very impressive to win a league like that, especially with, you know, the 24-man stuff like that. Definitely really impressed with that. So I think 6.5K for a guy who has, like, you know, been making his way up the tiering rung in AP leagues, it's definitely worth.
I agree. Absolutely.
Sparks the God, another name I know and I see a lot. I think he's the guy who does he did the custom textures for his Gen 7 game, and he would at me with ones and stuff like that, and I would show him mine for my Gen 8 game. That doesn't have to do anything with competitive Pokemon, but that's my knowledge on him.
One of the first people I met in this community.
Actually. Oh, really?
He was in a lot of leagues when I first started. He was known as something else than Chow the Chinese, I think. But I've never really seen him play a lot. Like, the only time I've seen him play like twice, and both times he brought a Pachirisu. So I don't really know. I don't know what to think of him as a player, really.
Pretty broken. But I mean, 4K, it's mid pickup, and it's a recognizable name. I think he did good in Bob as well, or at least he got drafted in Bob. So not too big of a deal. Scoot Hawk, someone I don't know.
I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know them either. The name, again, these names all look. I see the names sound familiar, but like, it's obviously because it's in the AP server, and I see these people typing and, you know, being active and things like that. So that's why their names all look familiar to me, for the most part. Like, I think, like, if you told me, like, you're like, do you know who this guy is? I would be able to say yes for like 98% of the dudes here, just because of like name recognition alone. I don't know how good they are as a player, but obviously as the last bid, you can kind of spell your last 5.5. Hacker knows what he's doing.
You're excited for this next one, aren't you?
Dude, I love this guy. I don't even know how to say his name, but he's so funny. He's someone I get excited whenever they type, because I always know some stupid shit's gonna come out. It's hilarious. Oh my god. He's the guy who what do you call it?
Take the call.
Yeah, in class he said, I will not leave VC until I am drafted, and then didn't leave call for like 6 days. I thought that was hilarious. I would always go and check and see if he's still in there. He's just a giant, like, massive shit poster. And I don't know him at all outside of that. I just know he's a massive meme. Never once seen him play. And I don't know. He could honestly just be like a giant douche, and I just don't know it. But I think what he does in APA is funny. So keep it up. I'm here for it. Totally worth the 0K that they spent on him. I'm totally here for it. At least like as like a fun trap presence for 0K. Sure. Like, that's awesome.
Why not?
Yeah, freaking sure. And I think Hacker knows it too, so that's obviously clutch. Let's go on to the next Captain Core in Shy Guy.
I'm excited to talk about this one, actually.
Shy Guy and Beardy
are the second best Captain Core by far. I love Shy. Shy is a player that he was one of the first people I met in APA, and I've got to see him start out as a little baby and grow into this player that's very, very good, beats Owen every single time. Very good player, really really good friend of mine. Really think he's super, super good in standard, and just the length at which he's improved over the year or two I've known him is ridiculous.
Yeah, no, he's a guaranteed dub if you saw him against us. LC or something like that.
Yeah.
Sit me.
Oh, you want to talk about your record against him?
0 wins and lots of losses. I think it's like 0-9 at this point. I don't know why. I don't know why. I don't know why. It's so infuriating. And then they have Beardy, who's also a very good player. I think Beardy's super.
He won Audi, no?
Yeah, he won Audi, and he shouldn't have been an Audi. He should have been an Ascension coach, like 100%. But I think I say this all the time. I've said this to a couple people, not all the time. I've said this to a couple people at least. I think Odyssey's competition as a whole, if you look across the whole league, and Ascension's competition this season as a whole, if you look across the league, I think Odyssey was better. I think Ascension had a lot of better, like, top guys, but if you look at, like, the standings in Ascension 2, I think it was, like, mad top heavy, and then, like, the bottom of the league was, like, ooh. Odyssey...
Is Beardy the one who replaced someone in PGP?
He replaced Silver for a week, yeah, and he won. Okay, he pulled up, he won a game, and then he dipped, yeah. I like Beardy a lot. He's a very good player, he's a very confident player. Very good in LC, too. He was my top 8 match. I did end up squeaking a game out of him, but he honestly would have won if he didn't, click the wrong button. But I digress. He's a very good little cup player, though. I think he's very, very solid in that, right? I teamed with him in TDT, and as much of a shit show that was, I think he was a very good player. And the times I mocked and played and prepped with him, he definitely understands the LC tier, which is going to be really nice because their best LC player is not playing LC, so having him able to slot into there. But they honestly do have good LC players and good LC support, so we'll get into that because people are like, you just paid blank money for no LC Darkrai. We'll talk about that because I think that's a bit ridiculous. What do you call it? But I think Beardy's very, very good. He's in a couple pretty notable leagues. I forget exactly which ones. I don't know if it's LD or like minors or like Hive or something like that, like one of the smaller Hive divisions. But Odyssey champion, should have been an Ascension coach. Very, very, very good player, and a good LC presence as well. 18.5k Rise of Darkrai. I remember a lot of people were kind of like, that's a lot of money for an OLC Darkrai. So obviously Darkrai is like definitely one of the best LC players if he's playing that on the tour, but he's a little burnt on it, which I definitely understand. LC can get a little bit tiring if you're doing it a lot, and there's been lots of tours and leagues and stuff recently that have been super LC focused, so I totally understand not wanting to play LC. But I heard a lot of people saying, this is a little bit of an overpay, he's not playing Little Cup as his best tier. It is his best tier, but I think people are forgetting that Darkrai is still a really good player. Like, Darkrai is still really good at just standard draft. He was an Ascension coach, he had a great run there, he had a great run in UCA. Where else? Oh my gosh.
I'm pretty sure he was invited to Evo this season too and turned it down because he was burnt out. I think, if I remember correctly.
Close. I think he's definitely potentially Evo level. Like, I think Darkrai is a really good presence, and I think his, as someone who captained for him in Clash of Kings, he is a phenomenal team presence. Like, the best team presence I've seen in the team tour ever. Like, I think
I was gonna say, like,
you're even paying for that because that dude, he will give you Mox, he will give you prep support. During Clash, I think me and Dark, and again, he might not be playing LC, but I can guarantee you, knowing Dark, he's 100% going to be giving lots of build, mock, and prep support for the LC players on this team. And I can 100% tell you guys that I would not have done as good in Clash as I did this season if it wasn't for Darkrai and Skyhorse, which they also get as build support. You're also paying for Skyhorse build support when you draft Darkrai, especially because he's not playing here. So I think just the team presence that he gives, we mock like 30 times a week in Clash, and he'd just kick my teeth in 30 times and I'd be good. So I honestly,
I think for 18k that's a really, really good deal. Honestly, I would have went up to like 22k or something on him.
Yeah, dude,
honestly.
Yeah, no, I think Darkrai is a phenomenal first pickup, and again, he has good synergy. He's good buddies with Shy and Beardy too. So that's obviously really, really clutch. And again, he doesn't need to play LC on this team. They have enough LC support from LC players in the back that can do it. Gammon, okay, I don't know Gammon.
Wait. This is the draft pick where everybody was like, oh, he was supposed to go for like, I don't know, 12k or something is what they were saying. But the auction, it was like 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, done.
Is that what happened? Okay.
Fast.
Okay.
Yeah, so he was supposed to go for a lot more, and they got him for 6k. And so I think Slick really wanted him, if I remember correctly.
Yeah, Sky and Darkrai were talking about this in the thing. They're like, this is a steal of the draft, because they were talking about like how much he demolished Ascension and how good he did, blah, blah, blah. I think he was like a semi-finalist, and he like tore up the league. He's a very good player in general. And they were comparing him to Beazle, who went for 18k, and he had like a better record than Beazle in Ascension. But yeah, I didn't know that it got kind of down that fast. That kind of makes a little bit more sense, because they were saying like he should have went for like 20. That's what Darkrai and Sky were saying. Again, I don't know him super well, but I don't know him super well. So again, that's great for Shy and Beardy. I don't know what they gave the auctioneer before the draft. They slid to him under the table as he was about to take their bid, but definitely super clutch for them. That's super clean.
Someone in call, I don't remember, because it was me and Jay, and I think Ollie and Ant in call, and I think Ollie was hyping him up heavy. He was like, you guys need to get him because 6k is ridiculous, and we were about to type, and then it was over.
Yikes. Well, good for them. That's a great picker for them. And it frees up their budget to where they could, drop their last 19.5k on Ravens, because that's what they had last, which is pretty funny. Keep in mind too, when you see people throwing their budget away at the end, it's because there isn't a mids, so there's literally no reason to hold on to it. Like you're not getting anything out of it. Next is Tpp Robinizer, a very good LC player. He beat me in LC finals for Wi-Fi season 3. He played on Karen Black from the waist down as a Little Cup player in Clash last season. Did really well. He had a really clutch finals win, which Darkrai talked about in his video, where he played really well in a really bad matchup and like super clutched the game for them in finals. That was super important. So again, another player who has this kind of experience in this kind of format and knows what it takes to win. I think he definitely requires a little bit of build support from what I've heard from other people. Sometimes they'll try and bring some crazy shit and you're like, no, don't do that. But again, that's just kind of like word of mouth. That could be completely wrong, but that's just what I've heard. I think 12k is completely fair though, especially when you have good LC support and the rest of the team, and Darkrai and Beardy. I think that's definitely 100% fair. I'm totally here for a 12k Rob. The Canadian kid. Do you know him at all?
I do know him. He's actually a friend of Stars, and I've seen him around in WPF. I believe he's an Audi level coach, and he was actually on our radar for a little bit. He's a pretty good standard player. I feel like 8K is absolutely like just right for him. That's how much we wanted to spend on him. Obviously, I don't know anything about him as far as team tour setting goes. I don't know how active he is in the team tour. I don't know how many mocks he gives, things like that. But as far as like WPF and APA server, I see him type a lot. So I feel like he would be, really active as far as the team server goes if he really wants to win. And I feel like for 8K, you can't really go wrong,
Yeah, no, I know he captained Star with Star in UCA. So he at least has that team tour experience. I played him actually that season. I think I won, but I think it was a pretty good game. It was a very, very long game. People had really fat, bulky, annoying builds. So I think I won 4 or 5-0, but it was like an 80 turn battle. So it was one of those 4 or 5-0. So he definitely played pretty well there. And I've heard pretty good things about him, except for the fact that me and Shai got in an argument because he told me that Canada was a continent, and I said no, it's not. And
Did you really say that?
Yeah,
Shai,
he said.
Shai, we have to rate you at the bottom of the list now,
Yeah,
dude. I'm so sorry.
He said, and he kept saying, and then he DM'd this guy. He says, "Canada a continent?" And he said, "Yeah." And then I DM'd him, and I said, "No, Canada's not a continent." He goes, "Who are you?" So I think he's a bad player, actually.
Hey, bro,
Oh,
I want you guys to know this is the same guy that thinks Skyscore is better than Lando. Keep that in mind. He thinks Canada's a continent. Let's move on.
No, I'm gonna get dislike bombs from these kids. Thanks, John. Next is Tezzy. I've heard pretty good things about them. I know they're an Ascension coach. I think they did pretty well.
Oh, I know Tezzy. Tezzy. I played him last week in WPF. He's the dude that got stored power crit on me with the Victini. But his build was very, very good. His play was very, very good. He impressed me as far as that stuff goes. So I think he's a different time zone too, which could be kind of cool for like drafting and stuff. But I don't know like how active he is or anything like that. But as far as like his building goes, he really impressed me with his standard building.
Oh yeah, no, I've heard pretty good things about him. Again, I haven't seen him play, but I've heard again he beat the John Jr. and that does not come easy unless you're like unless you're like 80% of the community.
And who hacks me out, dude? Are we gonna run it back? Are we really gonna show like all of my replays on this right now? Dude, load it up. Come on.
Gen 4 Gauntlet.
Nah, that's not what I meant, dude. Oh my gosh, get out of my face.
Next is Yeezy. I really like Yeezy. So I teamed with Yeezy in UCA. He's a very, very active guy. Really, really good with build and with mock support in general. He's actually helping us with mocks and PGP right now. He just DM'd me out of the blue. He's like, "Hey, can I help you guys with mocks? I'm not really doing any tours right now." I was like, "Hell yeah, you can." And he's been really helping us out there, which has been super clutch. So shout to him for that. He's a pretty confident player as well. He actually beat me in both of our mocks, but he got a lot of pairs. What do you got? He's a really good player though. And I think he's a really good team presence. So 9K for a pretty solid player who's gonna give a lot of good build and mock support is definitely really solid for this team. And then Ravens, they dropped 19.5K on Ravens. I don't think that's Ravens' price point, but they had 19.5K left because they spent
which Ravens is this? Is this Ravens like?
I think it has the Cyrus
profile picture.
Yeah, it has the Cyrus profile picture.
Yeah. Okay. Well, I was trying to look and see if I knew them, but I made a logo for them.
That's dope.
So that's my knowledge on them. They have a John Jr. logo, so they must be good at the game.
He gave me money. I like him. What do you call it? But I think Ravens is a pretty solid LC guy too. I think they needed that second LC slot or that like second/third LC slot, and that's definitely what Ravens is here to do. They were a finalist in LC Showdown Season 4, this most recent season. They lost to Bash. But they had a pretty solid season, and they definitely learned and grew throughout the format as the season progressed. I remember they DM'd me before, and I was helping them draft a little bit, and you could tell they definitely, from those conversations to making finals in the league, which had some pretty solid LC players, definitely shows they improved a bunch. So I think picking them up with their last pick is really smart. Obviously not a 19.5K player, but why not throw it all at him? There's no mids, so obviously super clutch. And then, do you want to talk about the steal of the draft? I
do want to talk about, dude, odds are the steal of the draft. Okay, Brody, odds, he's one of our best friends. He's in our Goon server, but he has these periods of times where he will literally sit in call with nobody in call for 2 months, and in the next 2 months, we will not hear a word from him, and we will assume he is dead. And right now, he is in that phase. So he probably forgot he signed up for the tour. He doesn't check his pings. He's not going to know he's on this team. He's never going to join the server. So... So moving on.
We didn't even claim him when he came up. We're like, oh shit. Brody's an interesting guy. We love Broadsters. That's the Broadster, but he's kind of good. So you want to talk about the next team though, the most powerful team of all time?
Oh my gosh, I gotta stretch for this one. So obviously, Toxictricities is captained by me and Jay, and Owen is obviously on it. I think that this is far and beyond the best captain core, and if you think otherwise, you're delusional. in all reality, that's a nod to Darkrai and Skyhorse. But in all reality, I do think that this is by far the best captain core. Jason and I were both Evo coaches this last season. I had claimed the first seed, and I lost in semis to a very good game to Skyhorse, and Jason went 7-3, right?
Yes, he did.
Jason went 7-3 in Evo, did very well. And you guys have to remember, we got there on the backs of literally Jason, myself, and Owen. It was just us three building.
I'm just recording right now, Dad.
So to have two people to go 7-3 and one go 8-2 on just our build support, I think we are objectively the best captain core. But the only issue is I'm going to be kind of slotted into ORAS here. I'm kind of forced to be slotted into ORAS. I can play Little Cup as well in Standard. And obviously, I'm going to want to a couple of weeks, but I'm pretty forced into ORAS here. But I have a good ORAS record. I'm 18-6 in ORAS, I think, currently. So really good at ORAS. And Jason's going to be flat into Standard like every single week. So it is what it is. Very good build support and very, very good team chemistry.
Very powerful stuff.
Everything. Because obviously, Jason's my best friend, too. So I feel like I build all of Jason's teams. I'm going to be honest. So, so I can't wait to build all of the teams for this entire team.
Yes, sir. What about the players? Since this is our team, I don't want to be like, oh, I think this guy's pretty good. Do you want to?
I'll forget hype everyone, dude. We got Amo for 17K. Amo was the type of dude. You think I'm joking? I'm gonna hype every single one of them up. Let me sit up straight for this one. Amo is a dude that coming into the draft, I was actually very keen on. I really like Amo. Had a couple of conversations with him in Evo, and he did very, very well in Evo. He was the finalist who also lost to Skyhorse, so we drafted Mono lose to Skyhorse. Good thing he's not in this tour. Amo was a person that we were willing to spend, I think it was up to 22K on. Amo was a person that I really, really wanted to slot in that standard slot and also help us with LC support, which is very nice, I think, in this kind of tour. He got nommed really early, and we got him for 17.5, which I think is phenomenal. He's been really active in our team service so far, and I'm really satisfied with him. He's shown a lot of knowledge as far as LC goes, and obviously a lot of knowledge as far as standard goes, and how I've seen him, play in Evo as time went on. I think he's a very good player. He won Ascension the season before Evo, and I'm very, very excited to have Amo on the team. You want to add anything, or you want me to just go down the list?
I've heard really good things about Amo as well. I've heard from a lot of people he's a very creative builder, which I think is really valuable in team tours. When you get to that matchup where you're super stumped, you're like, shit, I don't know what to do. It's always good to have that ultra player outlook on things and be like, nah, bro, I got you. Let me bring Mono set of Vaporeon or something stupid. So I think that's really important and nice to have, is to have that.
Oh, that reminds me. One complaint about our team that I've been hearing from people is we don't have a Chuckle King or a Milan or or an ultra type of player.
That's me.
Y'all are so quick to forget that Jason and I went 8-2 and 7-3 in Evo. What is happening? What is going on? It's ridiculous. It's ridiculous.
That's dude. John Jr.'s, I'm letting you guys know, John's shoulders are so tense right now, it's insane.
I have a very big pride as far as Pokemon goes.
He's about to shit himself right now.
I've done one team tour, but and this is just for fun, but we're going to kick all of your asses. All right, moving on.
Next up, best player in the team.
Nah, let me talk. You don't get to talk about this one. Let me talk about this one.
Man.
Okay, so next up, we wasted 29K. We tried to drain, and it didn't really work. The night before, Jason and I, there were 3 players that we were debating on, building around, and it was Owen, it was Chuckle King, and it was Josh. I'm good friends with all 3 of them. Talked to all of them beforehand. All of them were totally fine with us building around them. And we joked with Owen a lot about draining him. I'm pretty sure we convinced you we were draining you guaranteed, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So the night before the draft, Jason and I got in call, or we were texting, I don't remember, but we were talking, and we were like, okay, I'm gonna be honest, I don't think we should get Chuckle King because I feel like both you and I are going to play standard a lot no matter how we draft. I feel like the same goes for Josh. So I feel like we should get Owen because not only does he complement us well on building, but he also brings in the LC support we need because he's a top 50 player in a Little Cup, maybe on a good day. So, so we decided that night that we were going to go up to max bid on Owen. Like I said, Owen, Jay, and I are very comfortable with each other. We're like a group of friends. We build all the time. Me and Owen build all the time, and Jason sits there and watches. But on the real, getting Owen to like start our LC core, pairing him with Amo is something that I'm very excited about. We should literally never lose in the Little Cup game, and if we do, it is literally gonna all get pinned on Owen.
No, we're totally gonna
all gonna
lose
get
LC games. No.
Very excited to have him, and very excited for the team we have as a whole as far as the Little Cup goes. But I think we'll talk about that later. You want to talk about yourself, Buster? You go up a little bit or anything like I did?
I am the best. Next is Jesse 5.
All right, dude, I freaking love this guy, dude. Oh my gosh, we got him for you. Let us get this guy for 5.5. Y'all are nuts, dude. This guy is such a good team presence already. He is so cool to talk to. Very good Little Cup player. He's he was like 3-1 in Little Cup Wi-Fi, I think you said.
Yeah, and Darkrai was saying in this PR video that he plays in Darkrai's LC League, like the one that he runs.
Dude,
and he was like a finalist or like a champion or something like that. So he knows what he's doing there, for sure.
He's such a good team presence too. I really like him. He's slotted for standard and LC, I do believe. He's gonna be really cool. I'm super excited. Jason and I really wanted to pick up like a lesser known player to like lift him up, and he was one of the two I think we narrowed it down to.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm very excited to get him paired with Owen specifically because him having Owen build support for a season, I think will lift him up far and beyond as a player. I think it's going to be phenomenal. Going to be really cool to see how he grows as a player this season. I'm really, really excited for it. Owen, you better treat him nicely, dude. That's all I'm saying.
I'll spit on him if he loses.
Cello.
Like Cello. I like Cello a lot. I know you guys obviously have your reasons for drafting him, but touching on like my experience with him, he was my captain in UCA. I think, did I team with him somewhere else? I don't know, but I know he's a really good dude. He's really active. He's definitely really eager to prove himself and kind of grow as a player, and I think this is a really good team for him to do so on this one in particular. He's shown great activity, and I really do like Solo. I think he's a very solid player, especially for the 7K. I'm 100%.
Yeah, I've been told nothing but good things about him. Like as far as the team presence goes, he helps fill out another standard slot, which is going to be really nice. He's a very solid standard player. I don't know if he's going to play anything else besides standard, in all honesty. But I feel like having that standard and that team support and the mocks and the drafting support and everything like that is going to be really, really nice. And you can't go wrong with 7K. Like we could have, we could have got anybody for 7K, and you can say the same stuff. Like 7K, you can't go wrong at all. Next up, I'm so excited to talk about this one because y'all let us get Harry for 11K. What is going on? What is going through your guys' head to let us get Harry, Owen, Amo, Little Cup core for 11K? We're not losing a Little Cup game ever. What's going on, dude? Harry is someone who Jason is very close with. He's done a lot of leagues and what's that thing?
Survivor.
Yeah.
He's done a
lot of Survivor with Harry in the past, so he's very close to Harry. As far as that goes, and Harry's such a good Little Cup drafter. Seeing his process through this drafting thing that we're going through the drafts right now is very, very interesting, and he's very logical as far as that stuff goes. And one thing that I've heard people say about Harry is the one thing he lacks is good build support. We got Owen, dude. Come on. Like what? We win.
This is putting out that I have to build for people. I don't want.
What? Yes. Owen said, "I'm not playing Little Cup."
Dude, I just got fined 668 tilt. I'm so upset. I'm totally gambling while you're doing this.
Harry, super good player. Really excited to have him. Really good team presence. Yeah, and 11K. Jay and I were ready to go 17K on him. Like getting it, we were like, we got him for 11. Like he's a really, really good player. Super excited.
The one thing with Harry is I heard some people say he's not as acclimated with 8-mon LC opposed to 10, which is like 10, 11, like regular standard draft, which is a bit of a difference, but I don't think it's something that a player as good at LC like Harry will really, hate too much. And I think having a good team around him, like environment-wise and, low toxicity and shit like that, is going to be really clutch for him as well, because I know he's definitely, pretty iffy on a lot of the toxicity that Team Tours bring and stuff, and I think this is a good team for him to get on in that sense, because it definitely won't be that.
Yeah, except when Owen opens his freaking mouth. Just Kurt was our next pick. And I'm be honest with you guys, Kurt was our untouchable. Kurt was the person going in. Owen and Kurt were the two people that we guarantee wanted in this draft. Darkrai and Skyhorse on these next two, Kurt and Nathan, they looked at them, they're like, I don't really know how they fit in, I don't know how they play. Kurt is so good at ORAS, it's crazy. We've been doing PMU ORAS seasons, and he is a consistent, 8-4 finisher. Like, he can finish this consistently 8-4, makes it to semifinals almost every season. Super, super good at ORAS, and I think him plus I especially is going to be very, very cool, because the thing Kurt usually lacks, I think, is motivation to build and good build support. And I think with me here, and the chemistry that Kurt and I have, he's absolutely one of my best friends. It's going to be phenomenal, and hopefully he's able to show out how good he truly is at ORAS. And he can also play Little Cup. I don't know if we have 7 Little Cup players, in all honesty, so I don't know if we're ever going to need to slot him in for Little Cup, but
he's a top. He made top 32 in LCL, so he did really well.
He made top 32 in LCL, and he's been grinding like every single day. It's been really cool to see how he changed from yelling at Little Cup every single day to trying to learn the format a little bit. But I think Nathan 401 is very, very similar. Very good at ORAS. I actually played him in finals and beat him 0-0 in this latest ORAS league. So it was really, really good game. He has a lot of knowledge about the game. He's a very intellectual, very intelligent human being. I can't speak. He's a very intelligent human being.
You aren't.
I knew you were going to say that. I don't want to talk anymore. He's a very intelligent human being, and him, Kurt, and I make up the ORAS score heavily, and we all get along as far as we draft some things. We play very similar, and he's very similar to Kurt in the fact that I think with my build support, he's going to do very, very well in ORAS. I think our ORAS score, it may look kind of small because it's 5K, 6K, and then the captain. I think it's going to perform very, very well.
So with Nathan, I think another thing to mention too is I think Nathan could be like legitimately one of the better players here. But he doesn't necessarily have that drive to play Pokemon anymore very often. Nathan's essentially retired, the way I see it. He'll play in one league like once every 3-4 months, and then he'll be by the end, he'll be like, all right, I'm good for a long time, and he won't play. Just because he's been playing for a long time, he's not super interested in doing it anymore, and he does other things, but I think he's a very, very good player. He did win Classic a few seasons ago, like 3 or 4 seasons ago, when he was like, right before he kind of was on his way out and saying like, all right, I'm kind of done playing. Which Classic is Classic. It is more of a friends league, but I think there's still very good competition in Classic as a whole. And definitely a varied, group of guys. So I think that's very impressive in its own right. And I think he could even play. You could even slot him in Switch if we really needed to one week, and he could probably grab us a win. I think he's a very good player. And something that really impressed me with Nathan was I remember in the the Civil War season, the most recent Civil War season of APA. Kurt unfortunately had a drop. Speaking of Kurt. And Nathan took over for him, and at first we were a little iffy because we know Nathan isn't super feeling Mons anymore at this point, and it was a Civil War, and we want, obviously, people who are ready to grind and mock and blah 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 and stuff like that. So we're like, are you good to do this? And he was like, yeah. If it affects other people, and other people are kind of depending on me for this, I'm gonna grind and do well. He every week would build super ahead of time. He would make sure his stuff was super tight and well built, and he performed great with the team he didn't draft. So I think Nathan will be very, very solid in a team tour with people he enjoys being around, stuff like that. I'm really excited to play with Nathan.
Absolutely, I'm super excited. And then the person we got for free is Star, and he is not a player that should have went for free by any means.
Well, he went for free because of his app.
He went for free. I was about to say that. He went for free because on his app he said he would only play for Jason and myself. So we got Star for free. He'd probably be like an 8K player normally, 8 to 10K. I feel like he's got good team support. As long as he doesn't go Ghost, he's got good team support. But obviously getting him for free is no big deal. He's a goon, one of my best friends. I feel like he's really good in Standard, and I'm interested to see how he does as far as this goes.
He's a player with a lot of upside, I think.
Yeah, he's like a lot of upside, and like, what do you lose by having him? Exactly.
Well, a lot of upside just as a player in general too. I think he's a lot of potential to grow as a player in general, like going forward. But yeah.
And he's also been helping in CP a lot in PGP, and I think he's actually given the most mocks in PGP besides myself. I'm pretty sure, and Hacker. Most mocks besides myself and Hacker. So he's been very, very active, and not even being a player too. So I think he's a good addition, especially for Zero.
Oh yeah, for sure. I think that was definitely a clean pickup.
So moving on from the best team,
we have Bug Bite Bros, Corey and Johnny. This is a very interesting core because one, I think they worked very well together as like a core and two friends who know how to run this. I was on their Clash Season 1 team, and they did a very good job at keeping a very positive, happy, fun team environment, which I think is very important. The only downside is they're both essentially retired, which Darkrai and Sky also talked about in theirs. So you're kind of forced to play all of your players as a whole, opposed to your own, selves. I think obviously Corey can slot if they really need someone, and he's still like playing, but not like as much as he used to. Johnny is like 100% basically retired, so that's obviously going to be a little sus for them. But they know how to run things together, they know how to work together because they've been doing it for so long. So that's obviously clutch. 28.5k GCS. I think this is 100% a fair price. I think Milan is easily one
I
of the.
thought you were gonna talk so much mess
Nah,
first.
I was thinking about it, but I couldn't do it. We gotta give credit where credit's due. I think 28.5k Milan is definitely 100% fair. I think he's definitely one of the best standard players in this pool. Like out of the draftable people, I think he's probably the best out of the people who got drafted in standard. Besides maybe like Moran, TJ, but Moran's not even playing standard. And TJ is probably close too. But TJ's also going to be playing other things. I think basically what I'm saying is I think GCS is 100% worth the big money that comes behind him. He's a very active person. He's really good team support and build support. Milan is the person who basically taught me the game back 2.5-3 years ago now, and really helped me refine and get things going. So I think he's very good in that sense. I captained with him in Clash, so he also knows what it takes going into a team tour and being successful. He can learn from our mistakes and build off our successes and help them do things as well. It's kind of like a leader, like a captain kind of role, like as a player, I guess, is kind of what I want to say. So I think Milan for almost 29 is definitely fair.
I agree with everything you said.
Cambat, is it Combat or is it Cambat? Cambat X. I don't know them. Do you know them?
I've seen them play like a game before. They did okay. Like I don't know anything outside of that.
Yeah, me neither. But 5k, I think that's fine. And something that Bugbear Bros always do is they like to draft activity and people that are active in their little team server and stuff like that. So I'm assuming he was, or at least showed a lot of interest there. So I think that's definitely fair. Do you want to talk about 26k Ultra player though?
I do, because I think Josh should have went for more. Truly, Josh is one of my best friends. Really do like Josh. He's a very good standard player, but it's weird because he's not a good standard player because like he makes these just good plays and stuff. He brings such weird and out there sets and they work, and he's a good player because he's able to he's a phenomenal builder, I guess is more so how you would put it. He's a phenomenal builder. He's the Evo commissioner. Obviously he did 5-5 in Evo, I think. Had a little bit of an off season, did good the season prior though. Josh is a person who is going to give them such good build support, and paired with Milan, that is very scary for players to go up against in standard. I think he's also been dipping his toe in Little Cup, has he not?
He played Little Cup and Clash a lot, and did really well. He definitely understands the tier. Like he did well in Little Cup. Like he's Little Cup is the perfect tier for him to be really creative. I remember week 1, it was like my favorite game of Clash. He played, I think it was Jasper, and he brought Scarf Marini against Jasper, and it like Scarf offensive Marini, and it like won him the game. It went crazy that game. I think he picked up like 5 kills or some shit. It was really cool. So he's LC is like the perfect tier for him to bring some wonky shit, as Josh is really good at doing. But
yeah, so I think Josh plus Milan just on its own is phenomenal. Though, like it's such a good core.
Next is Tar Heel. I think 7k is 100% fair. He's definitely not, as experienced in the format as he once was back in Gen 7 or something, anything like that. Actually, I don't know if he plays any leagues on the side outside of AP and stuff like that. But as far as I know he like plays Classic and main, at least APA wise, and that's pretty much it. But I think he's a pretty solid player. I don't think he's a bad player by any means. So if he's there and he's active, I think 7k is a really good price for him. I think that's a really good pickup. I know he understands Little Cup too. I think he's played in LC seasons before too, so he understands.
I freaking love it. I think as far as Ben goes, I think if he is active, because I think the biggest trouble with Ben is not him as a player, but him being active. And I think if he is an active player for 7k, he's a steal. I think it's really good for him.
I agree. Lux for 10k, I think this is a great pickup.
That's crazy.
I think Lux is a really slept on player. I think Lux is very good at the game. And he's another player like Zombie where like the activity is going to be super fucking nice. Like Lux is another guy who's in like 87 million leagues. So picking up him for 10k is really nice. And he's a guy who can slot everywhere. I think he could probably play Aura. He at least understands LC. He's an LC Wi-Fi right now. He's not doing too hot, but I mean, at least he's dipping his toes in the format. And then he's obviously going to be a solid slot in standard. And he's a very good builder. He's very creative as well. So they have a lot of really good creativity on this team build-wise. And I think that's really going to help them out. It's going to make it really annoying to play against their teams and stuff. Potato Z, don't know this guy, but I've seen the name. I've seen the name.
He really wanted me and Jason to get him, but we couldn't because this was when we had 2 slots left, and obviously it was Kurt and Nathan guaranteed. Like we had to get those 2. So I feel kind of bad, but he's a person I've known for a little bit. He found me through my YouTube channel actually, and he joined one NCP season, I do believe, and I think he
Oh
did.
yeah, I know what you're talking about. Yeah, I remember now.
I think he went 6-4,
Something like
somewhere
that.
somewhere around there. Like he definitely knows what he's doing as far as standard goes. I don't know if he plays in the other tiers or not, or if he's ever tried to play Oras or anything like that.
But yeah, I think that's clutch. And then Erob 4.5k.
Dude, that's nuts.
That's
that
really
is
clean. I know
crazy.
I know Erob like killed it in Clash 1. Like he
Yeah.
killed it in Clash 1. He went like undefeated in low tier. Did really, really well. So I think getting him for 4.5, provided he's active, is like a really good pickup. And then finally Matrix. Again, it's kind of I've heard some mixed things about Matrix. I've heard he's pretty decent. I've heard some other things as well. But again, if he can just be, I think he's really active. So I think a good active team presence for 4K. I mean for 0K actually, is super, super clean for Bug Bite Bros. And you know, again, it's only upside from, you know, getting picked up for that much. So I think that's fair. One downside with this team is I don't know who's gonna play Little Cup besides Josh, and you don't want to slot Josh in Little Cup every week. So that's tough because we're not.
Lux can play Little Cup. Lux can play Little Cup.
Yeah, Lux can play Little Cup. I mean, he's like 0-4, 1-4 in LC Wi-Fi right now, and I don't know how many other LC leagues he's done. But I know he at least understands it. I played him, and he played me a good game in LC Wi-Fi, so like he understands it. But like as Little Cup wise, I think they're definitely one of the weaker teams when it comes to that slot.
Mm-hmm.
Like their best Little Cup players are their best standard players, and turn 34 Webs Milan probably isn't playing Little Cup. So unfortunately, yeah, we're gonna I think their Little Cup is to be desired. I think their standard is like really solid though. I really do like their standard. Next is the Big Dick Brigade with the funniest logo ever. It's so funny with Slick and Brett. I really like this captain core. I think Slick is a very good player. He's someone that's like improved exponentially over the last year or so.
He's very similar to Shy, in my opinion, in the fact that they both kind of grown as a player over time. Like, and I think they're at very similar levels right now.
I remember back in Classic when I joined, Slick was, and again, it's like this is a compliment, but I remember when Slick joined, he was like the guy you're like, ah, shit, I play Slick this week, nice. I get a win. But now you play Slick.
I lost to him my first ever APA game.
No, you suck. But now Slick's a guy. I mean, again, just playing him like literally yesterday. Now Slick's a guy you play, and you're like, fuck, I play Slick. Damn it, I don't wanna. Like, Slick's a very, very good player. Like, I think he's...
Especially because he's the Goon Slayer and he's a guaranteed win against us.
Except if it's PGP. I'm stretching my shoulder and, like, rubbing it because I'm very strong.
I don't know anything about Brett, though.
Brett is a really cool guy. Brett's going to be a good ORS slot for them. He's pretty good at ORS. He's got lots and lots and lots of Team Tour experience, so I think that's really good as well. He knows what it takes to be good. He's a pretty active dude. And he can play anywhere. He's actually pretty good at LC as well. So he can slot there if they really need him to, which is nice. Next, for their first slot, they dropped 30 on TJ, and I think that's 100% fair. I think TJ's definitely one of the best players in this tour. Phenomenal in standard. He's a good ORS player as well, and he's really good in LC. I don't think you want to slot him in LC because he's your best player by far, but he at least can, and he's good at doing so. He has captaining experience in last season of Clash with PNR. Punk and Roll, I think, was the other Talks logo. Yeah. And then he also, what do you call it? He was also in Season 1 of Clash. I think he has DPL experience. Like, he's definitely a really, really good and seasoned player. Very, very solid player, like, as a whole. So I think 30K is, like, 100% fair for him. Do you want to talk about 15K Greg?
Oh, yeah, I want to talk about Greg. Dude, freaking love Greg. However, Greg was, like, in my DMs begging me and Jay to get him because Greg is a really good friend of both me and Jay. But everybody knows, it's no secret that Greg's not going to play if you draft him. He'll play. I asked him, he was like, yeah, I'll play one game for you if you draft me. And I was like, I don't know if we can get you then, Greg. So it's no secret he's not going to play. So Jason decided to slap his dick on the table whenever Greg was put up to bid. They nommed Greg. I don't remember who it was. Someone nommed Greg just to, get the bids out there. They got him for 4K. He's a good chat presence for 4K, honestly. Mm-hmm. So... and he is a phenomenal player if he actually freaking plays. But so Jason, being
an idiot,
how do I word it nicely? The dumbest person I know, put his dick on the table and said, "You know what? We're putting 10K on Greg." And this was when we were already low on budget. So I was like, "Jason, if we get him, we can't get like 3 people that we wanted. So what are you doing?" He was like, "Nah, trust me, I got it. Trust me." He did it because he's a petty. Oh my gosh, he's very, very petty. But out of nowhere, because Slick thought, oh, well, they jumped 6K, so they must really want Greg. So let's jump 5K and see them go to 16K. He put 15K on Greg, and then Jason laughed so hard, I fell out of my chair. It was not a pleasant time, and now they're stuck with 15K Greg who won't play a game. So,
15K. But
good chat presence for 15K.
Yeah, he's gonna shit talk the hell out of your opponents when he comes on once a week. So it'll be funny in that sense. It really does shaft their team, though. I'll be honest, it really shafts their team. They have they don't have very much, especially because they spent big on their next few players. Well, not big. They spent a good amount of money, opposed to like somewhere like Quag Gang, where they spent like 60K on their first 2 players, but then they like super budgeted the rest of the time. Which I think Big Dick Brigade's like approach isn't. I hate saying their name in like a serious context. It sounds so dumb. I think that was definitely fair. But yeah, 15K Greg is gonna be very unfortunate, especially in the sense that we upped it to 7 games a week, and they have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 players. So if 2 people get the flu or gotta go visit some family for the week, you got a loss because you slot Greg and he's not playing. you're slotting in a forfeit. Yeah,
Greg, I guess.
I don't even think he'll play if you build his team. So very cool stuff. Next is Bees, though. I think Bees for 18K is definitely fair. He's a very good Little Cup player, and he's very solid in Standard as well. He had a good Ascension season. He's someone who's like been kind of slowly dipping his toes back into mods the last 5-6 months, and he's kind of getting back up to form. I think he's a very solid player. He's a very good chat presence. He has Team Tour experience, played in Yellow Color last season. It's a mixed results, but I think other than that, he's had a very good track record in LC. So I think picking him up for that much is completely fair. I think that's a good pickup.
He's a fellow Indiana resident, so I gotta show some love to him.
Drop him immediately. Next up is Endless Gadgets for 13K. I think this is fair. Endless, I have mixed feelings on as a player. I think he can be really good, and then other games I watch him like I think he's a guy who definitely gets in his head a little bit and lets kind of people get to him, in chat and stuff like that, which is fair because I do the same thing. But just hit the mute all spectators thing. That's what I do. But I think he's a very active person as well. Plenty of tour experience and a pretty solid player. So I think 13K is for sure fair. Do you want to talk about the next one?
Who's the next one? Kurt? I was on my phone. Kurt? Is it Kurt?
Yes. Get off your phone.
Dude, I didn't know anything about that player, so I didn't want to say anything and ruin the flow, but now I've ruined the flow by being on my phone. So, here we are. Kurt, he's a good player. I do think he's a good player. He definitely can slot into ORAS as well as Standard. And I think 4K is fine for him. The only issue with Kurt, and the reason that we didn't want to take a gamble on Kurt, is because it's a question as to how active he would be in the team server, but more so how much of a build support I feel like is the thing. I feel like he will build his teams, not really do mocks, anything like that. You know what I mean? Like, I feel like he's a good player.
Out of a 4K guy, you want activity.
Yeah.
And another thing,
he's a good player, but
I think Kurt is his motivation wanes very, very much. So he loses a game and he'll be like, fuck this, and then he'll be done with like the rest of the season. So I think that's definitely, you want people who are a bit more driven and motivated, in my opinion, in this kind of setting. So it's definitely a gamble. He definitely has the potential to win games. He's done well in leagues before. He can obviously do well here. It's just a matter of how about it he really is. And Sky and Dark said this in theirs, but you're probably getting Silver Smasher build support too, which is nice because he's obviously really good. BK, this is an older name in the community, I guess at this point, but I've seen of him. I think I actually replaced him in APA Academy Season 1. And I haven't heard much of him since, but pretty solid guy for 4K. He's probably been around for a minute, so he probably slotted into ORAS, which is nice because they're going to need as many varied people as they can because everybody's going to be playing. So I think 4K is definitely fair. And then Lord, I don't know how to say it. I always think it's Lord. I thought it was Lord Yuxi or Uxi or something like that. But there's no U.
Around. I've seen dude around for free.
For free. Free 99. Yeah, I think that's it.
Didn't he, was he the dude that beat Jason? Or am I tripping in some league? I don't remember what it was.
Jason loses a lot. That guy sucks.
Yeah, Jason does lose a lot. So.
He might have had a Matang or something. I don't
know. Wrong person. That was JCM.
I know. Next up, the actual best captain Core. Since talking about that, we have Mitty and Dan.
Dude, I freaking love Mitty, and I've talked to Dan a couple of times, but they are going to be active for the first week until the drafts are done, and then Moran is going to be the captain.
That's already happened. We'll talk about the real captain core after.
Ollie showed me that Mitty's still active in the server, and so is Dan.
Oh, nice.
Currently, one day after the draft.
Dude, I already gave Moran the captain role in APA. Just so you can see the chat. Ollie didn't even know that we're doing 7 games. Fucking damn it. Are you kidding me? But I think it's really funny. I think it's really cool. And I love the energy they had at least like pre-auction where they're like, yeah, bust and cloister. And they were like typing out their like propaganda, dumb messages and things like that. Thought it was really funny. And I told this to Ollie because he's obviously a Goonies and one of our buddies. We'll talk about him in a minute. But I don't know how well this team is going to do. But at the very least, this team will be fun as hell to play on. Like, it'll be super fun to play on. It's going to be chaos the entire time. And he told me it was a little bit of chaos at first. But I think it could be a lot of fun. And, you know, if certain players step up and take up that leadership role, or, you know, help with that knowledge that many of them might not have because they don't really play Pokemon anymore, like, at all. Dan, I don't think I've seen him play in, like, a, you know, year or two. I think he played, like, half of a Classic season, like, a year ago. Maybe I think Panther said something like they haven't finished an APA season since Classic season 10, and I think we are on season 17 right now. So,
we are indeed.
Yeah, I think it would be really fun though, and I think if they do well, it's gonna be really fun to watch them do well. Then they obviously got probably one of the best players in the tour with their first pick and handed off the captain hat to him to go nuts.
Yeah. I feel like that's very good because Marvin Varvin here is a very experienced tour player, as far as I'm aware.
Yeah,
so
he's a 2-time DPL champ. Yeah,
he's kind of a clown.
We love Marin.
We love Marvin Varvin. He's kind of a clown as far as the chat presence goes, but I feel like as far as experience goes, them getting him to take the leadership role is phenomenal. I feel like it's probably one of the better people they could have got for that, actually.
Oh, he sweats like crazy for these kinds of things. He's going to be playing LC this year, like 100%. He's going to be playing LC. I know he only signed up as playing LC. He doesn't really play too much Stadium anymore from what I've heard, but he can at least support in that role, and he's very good in every tier that you can potentially, play in this tour. And he's basically a guaranteed W at LC every week. He's basically a guaranteed win.
Unless he matches up against us, and then
not me. He just 6-0'd me like a week ago, dude. Stop. I'm shaking right now. Stop. But Moran's really good. He's really active, and I think if he could take that leadership role, this team will actually perform a lot better than people are giving it credit for. Jeremy, Arctic Weefile for 10K.
Oh my gosh, dude. Let me talk about him. Jeremy is another person that was like in my NCP season 1 when I freaking banned Shedinja when I was 14 or something. So I've known him for a long, long time. And seeing him grow is crazy. He also got into like freaking Yale or Harvard or something. So he's moving into college right now. So he wasn't at the draft. Don't even know if he's in the team server yet. But that's ridiculous, by the way. Congrats on that, Jeremy. Him going for 10K is very, very low balling for him. He in PGP is, except for this last week because he was moving in and stuff, he has been crazy active. He has been 3-0, easily our MVP as far as team support goes, build support, as far as mocking people and just playing. He's been playing out of his mind. He's had 3-0 wins or three wins that was like 3-0, 4-0, 4-0 or something like that. Like, he's just been ridiculous. And getting him for 10K is gonna be, it's insane to me. I really wanted him on the team, but we just couldn't slot him in, unfortunately.
Yeah, he's definitely very good. I teamed with him for like a week in GDA before that imploded. He was a captain there, and he's definitely really active, dude. Knows what he's doing. He's a very solid player. So I think 10K is a fat steal for him. Next up is Chuckle King, a genuine clown, and spending more than 3.5K on him. Spending more than 3.5K on this guy is an absolute massive choke. But he will offer some pretty good support. He's probably going to end up playing a lot of ORAS in this team, I think, just because they don't really have ORAS players, like, at all. But I think that's fine. All jokes aside, Chuckle's, like, a phenomenal player. I think he's one of the best in this tour, playing-wise. I think he's, like, at least top 3. Really, really, really good player. Phenomenal builder, and he's a pretty active dude as well. I know he's on PGP. He's been pretty active in helping us get mocks and stuff like that. And I think if he's, around enough and given the right amount of sweat, I think he can honestly be another kind of guaranteed W in ORAS, depending on what crazy player he gets matched up in. But I take him a 9 times out of 10.
Him plus Marvin Varvin is very scary as well.
Yeah, no, definitely two very very experienced players in this kind of thing, where the rest of this team really does lack that experience. Arctic Vivile has a little bit, Geese has a little bit, and I think Pineapple probably too, but like they're definitely going to be like the vets of this team that are kind of like holding it together, for sure. Geese for 4.5. I think this is a fair price. He's going to be their other little cup player for sure. They don't really have anybody else to play LC besides Midi, so he's probably going to be playing LC every week too. And I think with, I know he did pretty well in Bob, so if he has proper build support from Moran, it's going to be really, really solid LC core. I think 4.5 is a nice little budget pick.
Yeah.
Get off your phone! Next is...
I don't know, sorry. Yes.
Next is Ollie. Ollie's a good buddy of ours, like we said. 5.5k.
Wait, no, we do not associate with Ollie. Next.
Nally, 11. 4K.
No, wait. Okay. I didn't expect you to actually go with it. Okay, Ollie is dubbed the stinkiest goon. He's a good player. I think Ollie is very, very, very similar to Kurt in the fact that he's a good player. He's going to get you wins, but it just depends on if he's going to stay motivated and how active he's going to be. I think they're very similar in that sense.
Mm-hmm. Ollie is someone, though, I know definitely wants to prove himself in this kind of format. And I know he really was itching to do so and stuff like TPA, and he really enjoyed captaining in UCA and was actually pretty decently active. A lot more so, don't yell at me, Ollie, a lot more active than I thought he would be. I thought he was going to be like the solo captaining adventure, but he was pretty active in that tour, so definitely pleasantly surprised me there. So I think with people staying on him and being like, hey, get your shit done, bro, he'll be pretty good. As a nice, pretty low pick up there, 5.5. And he's going to be playing a lot, which I think is a really good experience for him. To be able to slot that much. Next up is Nally 11. I don't know. Is it Nally or it might be K Nally? I feel like it's a silent K.
I feel like it's silent K, yeah.
Yeah, but all I know about them is I think they were the one that called me Olga. No, they weren't the one that called me Olga for whatever that league was. It's Zach the Brothers, right? So it's WWC. I think he was on that one. Someone called me Olga though. Not everybody thinks my name's Olga. But no, this is the guy that played Chuckle. Yeah, this is the guy that played Chuckle King. And he actually upset him and knocked him off from week 1 with a really cool... Yeah, he was the guy with the sub bulk up Urge move.
Yeah. He went crazy.
Which was a really, really good set for Chuckle. And it put in a lot of work and he was able to grab a dub versus him. And I think that's a really, really big upset, and it shows the potential that he can have, especially with a good build and stuff like that. So if you get a 4K player who can potentially knock off a 26K player, I think that's very, very valuable. And I think if given the right build support, which this team can definitely have, he can obviously be a good pickup. Pineapple.
Can I say bad words?
Sure, we've been saying one of the team's names is Big Dick.
He's kind of a really big shitter from what I've seen. I'm not gonna lie. I've never seen him play a game of Pokemon, but just like the chat presence, I've been kind of annoyed in the past.
He's kind of funny. I like him. I like his team name too. I think they should be the Pineapples of the Boston Cloisters. But at the very least, he's gonna be like a Greg type dude, where he's gonna a Greg that plays, I guess. Maybe not to like a Greg level, but he's going to be a great chat presence. He's going to be really fun to have on your team and really annoying to play against. He's going to be a little obnoxious. But from what I've heard,
I'm pretty sure they drafted Dragonite Rain. Actually, like they actually drafted it because of him.
Did they actually?
I'm pretty positive.
Well, then they can't lose. But I heard he's actually taken up like the mantle of co-cap with Moran, because I think him and Moran are cool. So like I think that's pretty funny. He's a very active dude. And I heard he's not like awful at the game. I don't think he's like oh, this guy's a steal. But
I've never seen him play. I've just seen him in chats.
He played in LC too, so he's a guy who can potentially slot in LC, which is nice if he has an off week or something like that, or Moran is like gone or something like that and can't play. Somebody could do that. He can slot Oras. He can slot Swish. To what success level, I don't really know. Again, I'm kind of like you. I haven't really seen him play too much. I've seen like 1 or 2 of his LC games, and he won a couple of them. I know he got like 1 million kills with Galarian Slowpoke, which is pretty impressive for them on his dick. But like, yeah, I think 4K is for sure fair for your co-cap, who's gonna be a fun time in the team chat and stuff like that, and be really good at hyping people up and getting lots of energy going. And then with their final pick, Can the Beast. I have seen he's an Indigo coach. He burned my Swampert with his Darmanitan in the gym challenge, which is still
He's
haunts
been
me to
doing
this
a
day.
lot better.
Yeah, I've
lately,
heard he's
actually.
gotten a lot better as a whole.
Yeah.
I know he was
He
someone at
played
first.
Kurt the other day in something. I don't remember what it was, but
It was
might have been,
that one tour. It was that one tour where Kurt ended up hazard removing.
Oh, it was
stacked.
the Glade Store.
Mhm,
And I think he won that or
He
got
did,
second
yeah.
in it or something.
Oh really?
He did very well. I actually watched some of his games. And he's gotten a lot better. He was actually the person who I made my second ever logo for.
The Beedrill one.
So he's also got a Giant Junior logo. So
yeah, the
no
Beedrill
loss
one.
from him. Yeah, actually.
But yeah, he also understands World Cup a little bit too. I know he's played in the leagues and he's got some good wins. And I think he might have even made brackets in LCL. So again, having someone with that base knowledge with potential.
Oh, and they're talking about beating you with 252s right now.
Why? Who? I want to rank their team bottom. Who is it?
It was Darkrai and T-Row.
Oh, cool. Good thing they were already at the bottom. Clowns. I hate it here.
Let's go, baby.
But yeah, I think Kian's definitely a nice just free pickup, especially for a guy who's very active, and he seemed pretty excited to join their team surfer. And I think with a good build support and stuff like that, I think like you said, he's gotten a lot better. So I think that's fair. And now it's time for the finale. I almost clicked on my math assignment. So very, very objective.
Yeah, I noticed you have something pinned that's called Math Book. Yeah, go ahead and add yourself a row. We know where we know what's happening here. Go ahead, add row above. Yeah, and you have to X off. No, you have to X off at this one. I was very bad at computers, guys. I'm trying.
Dude.
Yeah, trying to type winning.
How do I make
that color to purple? Let's make it purple.
Blue.
That's blue. That's not purple. Now we look like clowns. Thank you. But yeah, okay. So like I was saying, we're easily the top. And thank you for watching. Goodbye.
We're winning later.